Hello there and welcome. Welcome to you, all my beautiful spiritual psychic friends and family and members of our psychic tribe. It's Psychic Cynthia here, spiritual psychic Cynthia Killian. And I just want to say to you, Happy New Year. Yes, that's right. As far as I'm concerned, this is the day this year that the new year is beginning. And to be precise, the date that I'm filming this video on is January 26, 2023. And this is the day that our year really begins, as far as I'm concerned. Maybe you could even say yesterday if you wanted to. And why do I say that? Well, because we finally have all of the major planets out of retrograde. And not only out of retrograde, but just yesterday, Mercury had finally exited its post-retrograde storm, because for some of you who've been following the Mercury retrograde a while, or especially my work, you know, there is a reverb effect after the retrograde. Let's just call it that. It's this thing called a storm. And yeah, we left that yesterday. So today's a new day. Today's a new day. And all of the major heavenly bodies are direct. Not only that, back on the 22nd, 21st, depending on what continent you live on, I should say, we just had the new moon in Aquarius ushering in the first day of the Chinese New Year, the Chinese New Year of Water Rabbit. So that was a Lunar New Year. And, you know, literally for those that follow that calendar, that is the first day of the new year. But it happens to coincide nicely with the clearing up of all of these energies for us. So yes, now is the time to reinvent yourself. Listen, you might have been feeling pretty wore down as this new year started. You might have been feeling, you know, the drag is what I call it. Even if you weren't feeling that, perhaps you tried to get some things done and you noticed that they weren't getting done as fast. And you know why that is? That's because you have to deal with other people. And yeah, when we're all under the weight of this energy, it just slows things down. Something to think about what it's been like, okay, for the last few months. What it's been like with all these retrogrades is we've all been dealing with unresolved karma. And the heavier your karmic load, the more stuff you've had to deal with. And listen, maybe your karmic load isn't that heavy at this time. Maybe you've spent, you know, a lot of time, a lot of energy and effort into resolving karma in the past. And if so, that is wonderful. Here's the thing again, you have to deal with other people in this life. And even if your karma is light and bright and as clear as possible, and by the way, you do have karma or you wouldn't be here in this planet, you know, unless you're a totally enlightened, ascended being who came back to Earth for the sole purpose of helping others, like you are a master, a bodhisattva. You do have karma, that's why you're here. Okay, but you might have less. You might have less than others, but still the people you deal with, a lot of them have a lot of karma. So you go and you try to get stuff done and you're dealing with other people or other organizations and you can't get it done because God has blessed them. Those people are dealing with their unprocessed emotions and their karma, you know, our brothers and sisters. So many people in the world are still just stuck in survival mode, okay? I want you all to remember this if you're on the spiritual psychic path, and, you know, probably you're not stuck in survival mode anymore. Even if you think you are, just the fact that you have the consciousness and the time and energy to think about the cosmos, to connect with your guides, to open your inner psychic. If you have any inclination towards that and you've at all started on that path, then you are no longer only in survival mode. And perhaps some of you watching this need to hear me say this. Perhaps you need to take a deep breath and say, I'm not in survival mode anymore. Or not so much, at least. But there are many of our brothers and sisters on this planet who still are stuck in that survival mode, and the karma is pretty heavy for them. So when we get all these retrogrades, I mean, it's going to affect us all, okay? Because we deal with each other. But of course, it's easier if you stay on your path and if you have been, you know, dealing with cleaning up your karma in a conscious way If you've been working with your guides, with your ancestors, opening to your own inner spirit, your higher self, all of this, any of it, actually, if you've been doing any small single part of what I mentioned, that helps to keep your energies lighter during these periods of heavy energies. So now that we're coming out of it, wherever you're at on this, but especially if you've been, consciously working on expanding your energy, trying to keep yourself uplifted and positive and moving forward, and then also working with your shadow side, that is part of it. Don't ever forget it. We have to work with our shadow as well. That increases your light, okay? Ignoring the shadow actually dims your light. Okay, that's another video for another time. But yeah, if you've been doing some of the work and giving, yourself that wonderful spiritual nourishment, then yeah, things are going to feel really easy for you now. And maybe even if you haven't, things are going to get a lot easier from here on out, simply because there is less friction in the energies. And, there's less of an emphasis on karma right now. The karma is still there, but sometimes the universe says, hey, you all are going to focus on dealing with your collective karma. Like, you're going to really focus on that for a while. And we're not going to be quite as focused on that for a little while. So I did want to talk about that, and just looking at the big picture of these energies. What does it mean? Not just Mercury going direct, not just Mars going direct, or Uranus going direct, or Mercury leaving its post-retrograde storm. What does it mean? All of it together. And then with the Chinese New Year. And listen, I know a lot of you don't follow the Asian astrology as much. You should, okay? You absolutely should. And I think I'm going to start bringing more of that into my videos, because it's a missing piece, okay, to understanding the puzzle of the energies. And it's true, there is a 60-year cycle that runs in, our cosmic realities and the earthly realities. And it's also true there's a 12-year cycle. And actually we see that in Western astrology with the movements of Jupiter. That's why some believe that the ancient system of Chinese astrology may be based on the movements of Jupiter. That's, just one possibility. We don't know that for sure. But yes, this year, for the Asian astrology, we're coming into the time of water rabbit. We're coming out of water tiger, which is, water energy as an element is very nice and flowing and promotes communication. But tiger itself, and I have a soft spot for tiger in my heart, but tiger is a very rambunctious, aggressive, volatile energy, especially for the year sign for the world. And we saw that last year. We saw that, with the conflict in Ukraine coming up, for example. Well, it didn't just come up last year, but it really exploded, right? So hopefully, typically, a year of rabbit, whatever the element, but I think especially when you speak of the water rabbit, and you do understand for each of these animal signs, there's 5 different elements. So 5 different possibilities, 5 types. So we're in water rabbit. Some people I've heard it called black rabbit. So, but it's water rabbit. And this is a very soft energy that focuses on regeneration. It focuses on renewal of the soul. Rabbit is, put right there in the middle. You might even say stuck right in the middle between 2 very volatile, dramatic signs, tiger and dragon. So enjoy this year. Let it be a soft and gentle year for yourself. There are gains that can be made in many areas, but I would focus on the emotional realm, the yin energies. This is a very feminine yin year. So connecting with family, healing family issues, maybe making some changes around the home, those kind of things, a very domestic energy. And typically they say, of course, a lot of it depends on your own Chinese astrology, but overall, there is, a gentle flowing abundance in the rabbit years, and it's easier to make money, they say, or to bring in abundance. And that might just be, frankly, I think it's just because we're more relaxed and chill in the rabbit years. I said rabbit ears. Well, yes, rabbits do have long ears to listen, right? To listen, and we need to practice that in the year of rabbit, listening to each other, and rather than trying to prove our viewpoint, again, it's a very feminine yin energy. It's a soft and gentle energy. Some other things to think about in terms of the cosmic year ahead. You know, we're in a 7-year, numerologically and universally. We all have a personal year too, by the way. But for the collective year, it's a 7. And this is a very mystical number. 7 moves silently and behind the scenes without a lot of fanfare. One thing I like about the numerology and the animal sign, this is all gelling up well. The numerology of the year really blends well with, 7 blends well with rabbit, water rabbit in particular. So this is a time for tuning inward and being more mystical and maybe even more introverted. Those of you who are extroverted, you may not like that energy as much, but perhaps you can just use this as a time to refuel yourself for your next round of extrovertism in 2024 when we enter the year of dragon. So these are some things to think about. And my guides have also been telling me, the Atlantean teachers and the guides of the year, I channel the guides of the year to get messages for myself. And I'll be sharing some of those in my newsletter, my cosmic newsletter. So if you're not already subscribed, please do. You're invited. And listen, I try to make it easy for you. I keep it free. I don't know if you noticed, but a lot of people that have my level of expertise now, they are charging for their newsletters. And that's fine, because that might be the way they're making their living. I'm able to make my living other ways, okay? So please, take advantage of it while it's still free. What if I have to make my living off that someday? I probably won't, because it's just, it's a fun thing I love to do. It's maybe a passion, a service. Anyway, get subscribed if you want to know more about some of this in depth. But one of the things, my guides, one of the messages they told me just recently after Mercury came out of the storm yesterday, they said that this is the year to upgrade every area of your life, and then certain areas in specific, which I'll be writing about in the newsletter. So yeah, just think of that. This could be, one of your words for the year. Upgrade and refresh. This is what this year is excellent for. And yes, later in the year, we're changing directions, many planets changing signs, but we don't have to worry about that all yet. And like Pluto changes signs, but then it goes back and forth. So the big change for Pluto really won't set in until next year, when Pluto settles into that next sign, okay? And we'll talk about that in another video. So there's changing directions as the year goes on, but that is not coming into as much play yet. Right now, the energies are pointing us towards that upgrade, that rejuvenation, refreshing your environment, your gardens, your home, your tech equipment, your cars, whatever. Refreshing your outlook, refreshing how you see the world. Perhaps learning, taking a course, expanding yourself, opening up to different points of view, higher consciousness. I think that's a good thing to do any year, by the way. But it seems like these energies in the cosmos now are really pointing us upward and also inward for 2023. So once again, Happy New Year. It's gotten off to a late start, but here we are. My goodness, we can finally move forward. Many bright blessings and cosmic bestowals of abundance and wisdom to you all.